Thunderlord.
Gone. I'm alone again.
Don't let your memes be dreams, ladies and gentlemen. Thunderlord has achieved meta status, and people are going to be very angry about it. Today, we're going to be talking about one of the most comically easy, yet powerful builds you can pilot in Episode Heresy, and it's all thanks to the introduction of Bolt Charge. For those unfamiliar with Bolt Charge, it's essentially an ignition to an enemy in the form of a lightning strike. However, it's much better than an ignition in both damage and the ability to stack multi-lightning strikes onto enemies, something ignitions currently cannot do. And this build, as you'll be seeing on screen, is the epitome of multi-lightning strikes for massive damage, solo or with a team. With that in mind, Archtitans also got a brand new aspect this episode, which is the engine that makes all this insanity possible, and that aspect's name is Storm's Keep. Storm's Keep states, cast your class ability to grant moderate amount of Bolt Charge stacks to you and nearby allies, and while your barricade is up, you and your allies gain stacks of Bolt Charge over time, and your weapons can discharge max stacks of Bolt Charge onto enemies. Now this on its own is already busted, but we have an added layer to this that makes it even more dumb, and that is the fact that you can stack rally barricades on top of each other to increase how fast you get your Bolt Charge stacks to max, and then spam lightning strikes. And the best part is, you can achieve this either solo or with teammates who are also Titans spamming their barricade. And with the introduction of Bolt Charge and Storm's Keep, the meta resurrection of Archtitans has been blown wide open with possibilities, and one of those possibilities comes in the form of Thunderlord, which is a bit poetic given that Thunderlord is quite literally Lightning Strike the gun. For those of you new to the game, or maybe you just live under a rock, let's break down what Thunderlord does. So it has the perk called Lightning Rounds. This weapon fires faster and more accurately the longer the trigger is held. Continuous damage generates stunning lightning strikes. And in the intrinsic traits, Rain Havoc, you will notice it says lightning strikes grant a stack of Bolt Charge. So that's really convenient for this build, huh? Lastly, there's Thunderlord's Catalyst. This allows you to refill ammo into your magazine from reserves every time that you cause a lightning strike with this weapon. And when it's actually ramped up, it's causing lightning strikes non-stop, which effectively gives you an infinite magazine until all of your reserves are gone and the weapon has 0 ammo remaining. Now before I go into the kit and the mods and all that, let's just explain the gameplay loop here. It's pretty simple. So as you're going into a boss damage phase, you want to go ahead and pop your rally barricade right as it's beginning. Then right after, you throw your grenade and then activate your super. In this case, it's going to be Thunder Crash, and it's accompanied with the Curse of the Falling Star exotic chest piece to do massive damage with your Thunder Crash. By this point, when you're getting back to your barricade, you should already have it almost entirely back, if not already ready to charge again. And once you do, you put down a second barricade, and then if your teammates are also Titans, they do the exact same thing on top of each other, and you just start wailing on the boss with Thunderlord. As you're doing this, a couple of things are going to happen. First, you're going to be getting lightning strikes from Bolt Charge. Second, you're going to get lightning strikes from Thunderlord, which then feeds into Bolt Charge. And third, you're going to be continuously getting ammo from your Thunderlord thanks to the Catalyst, which in turn causes you to keep shooting and basically have non-stop multi-lightning strikes onto the enemy with Thunderlord. And finally, there's one more great thing that happens while all this Bolt Charge insanity is going on. Since you're causing so much damage with the bullets from Thunderlord, the lightning strikes from Thunderlord, and the Bolt Charge strikes, your super is getting charged incredibly fast, so more often than not, you're going to be able to get a second Thunder Crash onto a boss during the same damage phase, and in some cases, like the opening with the Corrupted Puppeteer, you can get up to 3 Thunder Crashes in one damage phase against the boss. With that out of the way, let's talk about the kit. So obviously we're using Thunder Crash, as mentioned, with the Curse of the Falling Star exotic chest piece for damage. For our abilities, we have Rally Barricade. Now, technically speaking, you could run any of these options. Storm's Keep says class ability, not a barricade. But Thruster, for example, doesn't give you any protection. You dodge for a second, but that's about it. The purpose of this is going to be to utilize barricades so that enemies are shooting your barricade the entire time. Remember, it's basically like a provoke or a taunt mechanic now where the barricade is prioritized. And the reason why you don't want towering barricade, besides it being, you know, towering and blocking your shots that you would be outputting, it's also a much higher cooldown at 110, whereas rally barricade is only 38 seconds. For your melee, you can use whatever you'd like. Any of the options are fine. I personally just like Thunderclap for its nice damage on a given melee enemy that's in front of you, like, let's say, a Husk, which are super annoying. For your grenade, I personally go with Pulse Grenade, as it's the best option in my opinion for Titans. You could rock something like Lightning Grenade or Storm Grenade if that's your personal preference, but I like Pulse Grenade. For the aspects, we already know one of them is Stormscape. The other one, to the surprise of absolutely no one, is going to be Knockout. It is just simply too good to take off, just like on Prismatic Titan. You simply punch something in the face and get healed for it. It's very effective, especially when you're using something like Thunderclap and a one-shot anything with a melee, so that is a staple to put with Stormscape. Moving on to fragments, we have 4 of them. The first is Spark of Resistance. While surrounded by combatants, you are resistant to incoming damage. You may have noticed this is similar to the Protection fragment from Prismatic. This is actually the better version of that, so it's really important to keep on for our Arc Titan. Number 2 is going to be Spark of Frequency. While amplified, the effects of Spark of Frequency are increased, and you gain increased stacks of Bolt Charge from all sources. Again, very important, because while you're spamming your barricades and getting your charges back from Bolt Charge, this increases it even faster. The third fragment is pretty straightforward. It's Spark of Shock. Your arc grenades jolt targets. So when you throw your grenade at a boss, whatever it may be, you get a free jolt, which gives you extra free damage. That's about it for this fragment. And the fourth one is going to be Spark of Focus. After sprinting for a short time, your class ability regeneration is increased. So this is kind of a niche pick. You could swap this out if you'd like personally. I like it because in this variant, you're going to Thunder Crash the boss every single time, maybe even multiple times in a damage phase, and when you're running back to your barricade, this can activate and give you extra regeneration for that barricade. For this next segment, I want to answer a couple of questions that I commonly get about Bolt Charge Titans. Number 1 is, how are you getting your barricade back so fast? Now, besides the build and the actual armor mods itself, there is also a mod called Volatile Marksman in your artifact, which states at the bottom with the boost, volatile detonations grant class ability energy. And you can obviously make this build with a volatile weapon in mind in your energy or kinetic slot. So what you would do for this is you would go to your Tome of Want in your inventory and literally just turn it on to have this boost active. What I mean by that is, let's say I'm going to just put on this scripture and then go to the third slot and activate the tome. Bam, that's it. It's on. So now your boost in your artifact is live, and every time that you get a detonation, you will now get a chunk of class ability energy. This is why Le Monarch is so great with this build, by the way. The other question I commonly get is, how are you healing so much? And again, the answer is in the artifact with Defibrillating Blast. Now, do me a favor here. Just completely ignore what this says, because it is written terribly. It makes it seem like you have to stun a champion to trigger an arc bolt that will heal you. That's not the case. The only trigger for this is you simply cause a bolt charge. That's it. It can be on any enemy, a drag, a boss, a curse thrall, doesn't matter. Once you trigger a bolt charge, it will heal you. It does not have to be a champion stun. And while we're in the artifact, the last mod that you absolutely should have on is going to be Flashover. When you gain maximum stacks of bolt charge, you also become amplified, and lightning bolts deal more damage. An absolute staple and a must-have. Finally, let's talk about the armor mods. Excuse the terrible fashion, it's IB week, so I'm forced to wear this, let's just say, less than ideal fashion. Anyway, moving on. So the helmet, we've got 1 copy of Dynamo. Reduces super cooldown when using your class ability near targets. You're going to be spamming your barricade near targets all the frickin' time. So you might as well utilize this to get super energy back every time that you pop a barricade. Really helpful to get your second or third Thunder Crash. Next is Void Siphon. Just to make orbs, I personally am running a Void weapon in my energy slot. Either it's going to be Exalted Truth, which is nasty, by the way, in this episode, or basically any other Void weapon like, let's say, Reckless Oracle. That could work too. And then lastly, we have Heavy Ammo Finder. Pretty self-explanatory. Bonus ammo for our heavy weapon. For our gloves, we have 3 copies of Bolstering Detonation. Grants class ability energy when you cause damage with your grenade. Pretty self-explanatory. Get our barricade back even faster. Our chest, I have 1 resist for solar, 1 for arc, and then I have 1 copy of reserves to pump some more ammo into Thunderlord. For our boots, straightforward, we have 3 arc weapon surges to boost the damage of Thunderlord. In our class item, we have 1 time dilation to extend the armor charge timer for our surges, 1 copy of special finisher to get special ammo back for a kinetic slot, which in my case would be something like a scatter signal fusion rifle, or maybe even Tinashe's for a stasis sidearm. And then lastly, we have 1 copy of Bomber, reduced grenade cooldown when using your class ability, which we will do tons and tons of times on a boss. And that is pretty much the entire build. It is basically universal, and you can run it anywhere you want. GMs, raids, dungeons, Burger King, Wendy's, whatever. As always, the dim link for this build will be in the description below if you want to try it out on your own. In the meantime, if you did enjoy this video, please consider subscribing today. It does help this channel grow and is much appreciated. And if you want to go the extra mile, you can leave a like and or comment below as well. If you don't know what to leave as a comment, you can leave THUNDERLORD as the comment. Thanks for watching. Catch you next time.